Hey guys, your friendly neighborhood natty here. My name is Matthew, and today's video is going to be a range report on the North American Arms Guardian 380. So before we get started, I gotta say that it's good to finally be back. I know I haven't posted videos for a long time, maybe more than a month, just because of the flood. You know, my room's flooded, so I don't have really a place to film, except for right here out in the living room is really the best I can do for these kinds of videos. As far as the gameplay videos go, I think I can kind of film in the living room as well, but it'd be more like on a couch. So I'd actually be more comfortable, to be honest. So that's going to kind of be the filming setup for the coming months until my dad and I just get into my room to get everything redone. We're going to redo the whole carpet, all that kind of stuff. It'll be a pretty long project before I have a room again, so hopefully you guys can bear with me here. Now, the North American Arms 380, I've wanted this gun for a very long time, but I just never saw a good price for it. But eventually I decided, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go buy it anyways. It was not a good price, pretty close to MSRP, if not right at MSRP. But before we talk about the range report, we actually have to talk about my experience of sending the gun back to be repaired twice. So let me explain. Usually what I do with guns when I get them and I really like them and I want to be good with them is that I will dry fire them a lot with the snap cap. You know, that's kind of the process that I do, just to kind of loosen up the trigger to get the trigger to be better, you know. And that was going fine. I didn't count the first time. I would have to say it was probably around 3,000. But eventually the trigger return spring broke. So basically, you know, as you pull the trigger, right, it wouldn't come back. It would stay stuck like this. You'd have to physically push it out in order to be able to fire it again. So that is pretty much what happened. I wasn't counting, but I'm gonna guess it was probably around 3,000 dry fires. So at that point I had to call North American Arms. I called them at about 10 a.m. on May 13th. I gave them the serial number, and then they sent a form and a label by email, so you can print out the label and type it to to a box to send it. That was received at about 1 p.m. on May 13th. So then I got that all prepped, all set up, filled out the form that they have you fill out, asks the diagnosis, stuff like that. And I shipped it on May 14th by FedEx, and it arrived to them on May 16th. The gun was returned to me on June 21st. And there was no response to my inquiry on the form. Basically, you know, I asked them, oh, can you dry fire the gun with snap caps? Because, you know, it broke, trigger return spring broke at about 3,000 dry fires. They didn't respond to anything about that at all. They just replaced the drawbar spring. They didn't charge me anything. That's kind of nice. And then there was also, what I noticed, 2 small tooling marks on the slide. Now I don't remember which ones they were, but they were like kind of like scratches, I guess, but I kind of let it go because it was just, you know, it was just 2 small scratches and it wasn't a big deal, I guess, so I just kind of didn't think too much about it. So naturally I called them on June 24th because they didn't answer my inquiry and I needed an answer, and I got in contact with the gunsmith, and the gunsmith stated that it was okay to dry fire with snap caps, but that the springs are brittle, and so then you can expect them to break, I guess, around 3,000. He did say that they would repair the part 100%, and shipping, they'd cover that up to about 2 years of manufacture and 1 year of the owner. Now, he did say that is subject to change, so of course that can change anytime, you know, more or less. So I decided to continue testing and dry fire the gun again. You know, I put the snap cap in there and I continued to dry fire because I wanted to see if the drawbar spring had a certain number that it broke at, you know, so we know about 3,000 the first time, I'm guessing, and so I wanted to do it again. So I did that on the 24th of June. I got in about 522 dry fires. I got another 522 in on June 26th. I got another 522 in on June 29th. June 30th, I got another 522 dry fires, and then July 4th, July 4th, I got in 522 dry fires. On July 6th, I got 1,131 dry fires, and at that point, the trigger return spring broke again. So the total would have been 3,741 dry fires is when that broke the second time. So of course, I called them at 9:30 on July 9th. Wait, hold on. Yes, okay, I have my dates right. I gave them a serial number. They sent another form and label by email. I got it at about 2:14 p.m. I shipped it on July 10th. They got it on July 12th. Now during this time, while I waited for them to, repair it again, I decided to dry fire other guns, particularly the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. You guys know I love this boy. He's a good boy. I decided to dry fire this because I wanted to see if it would survive 3,741 dry fires. And keep in mind, this has already been live fired, at least 200 rounds, I'm guessing. So on July 6th, I got in about 1,008 dry fires with a snap cap, of course. July 7th was 1,152. July 11th was 790. July 14th was 791 dry fires. And at that point, that was 3,741 dry fires, and there was never an issue with the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. Took it apart, put it back together, drawbar, trigger return spring never broke. It pretty much survived that test. Next, I went to the Taurus M380. So you guys know this gun as well. I don't like it as much, but honestly, it served me well, so I can't really complain. On that one, I did with the snap cap. You can see them here, 380 ACP snap caps. I dry fired that. July 14th was 711. July 18th, another 711. July 20th was 1,017 dry fires. And then July 21st was 1,302 dry fires. So that also survived 3,741 dry fires, and this has been live fired before. I think probably 200 rounds, I'm guessing. So once again, both of these guns survived 3,741 dry fires, no problem. Now, going back to the North American Arms Guardian 380, I did get the gun back on August 9th. No charge was issued, just like before. However, this time there were even worse tooling marks on the slide. Several much more that I noticed this time around. I'll put the pictures up here for you guys to take a look at, but it seemed like to me that the first time when there were scratches and marks, the gunsmith was slightly careless, but this time the gunsmith was even more careless, like he really didn't give a darn. Maybe, they were just upset that it had to go back so soon, but it's my property. I can test it as much as I want, and I didn't abuse it. I put a snap cap in there, so I if something was done against me, that was a little unfair, I have to say. Now, okay, so I did call them about the severe scratches because, I just let it go the first time. I let it go, it's fine. This time, way too much, and I thought that that's not really fair, kind, or appropriate to a paying customer, I asked him about it on the second return for repair, and I did mention it was scratched the first time, but I let it go, the first two scratches. This time there's much more, and I just wanted to know what the deal was. So I let them know that happened on August 12th. Sorry, August 12th at 4:39 is when I called them. They asked for an invoice number. I still had the sheet. I gave them the invoice number. The lady sent me to the gunsmith, and the gunsmith was very surprised. He said that he usually is very careful with that, and he gave me two options. I could send it in for refinish. I didn't want to do that because I already sent the gun in back to back, very short time frame. I didn't want to do that again. Okay, it's just annoying. Or the second one was that I can send him pictures to help determine the cause. And so I chose that option just to see what would happen. So he gave me the email of their North American Arms customer service, put the attention to him, and then send the pictures. And I did that on August 12th, about 6:12. I sent those pictures. I haven't got a response since then. I did call them again on August 15th at about 5:18 p.m. but the lady said they're shorthanded and trying to catch up on their emails and stuff. And since August 17th, no, not when this video goes up, but since August 17th, no response has been returned at all in regards to the severe scratches on the second return of my North American Arms Guardian 380 ACP. Now, with all that out of the way, we can finally look towards the range report. So, for the range report, I took about 150 rounds of Fiocchi Target Max, and I shot at 7 yards. I also brought the Smith. Well, I didn't bring Smith & Garden. I brought the Taurus M380. I just feel like, even though I don't like this gun as much as the Bodyguard, it seems like I perform well with this gun, so I decided to take this as well to the range. So I brought both of these guns to the range with 150 rounds of Fiocchi Target Max. I shot at 7 yards. And targets, I can show you guys right here. Not my favorite one, but I kind of like this one too. This is the targets. Whoa, excuse me. These are the targets. So, upon closer inspection, with target 1, you'll see that was shot with the North American Arms Guardian 380 ACP. I was able to put about 65 shots on target there. As far as what happened, well, on the 17th shot, it was, I think the trigger was stuck. So it didn't matter how hard you pulled, it would never move until I let it go and I tried again, you know. And I don't think that it's a muscle issue, because I am, boom, boom, I'm moderately strong, and I think this trigger was just stuck. It wasn't going to go anywhere. Now with the 22nd shot, the slide failed to go home. So basically, like, it didn't matter if you racked it back, it just got stuck until like a few seconds later when I tried to rack the slide again, then it went home. So whatever issue was there happened there. The 23rd shot failed to eject. The 52nd shot, it was impossible to shoot again. So I think that stuck trigger where it didn't matter how hard you pulled, you had to let go and try again. And then the 57th shot failed to feed, so I had to clear that. And then the 58th shot was a stovepipe. Not a big deal, but that's what that was. And then the rest of the shots up to 65 was no issue, no problem. Now the second target you'll see here is with the Taurus strong hand. So left hand, I shot that 30 shots. You can see that the ammo, at least in the field and the Taurus 380, it seems to shoot a little bit high right. And then the last target, so lower left, that was done with my weak hand. I actually shot with my right hand, the Taurus M380, and that got about 55 shots. All went fine, no problem. Side note, going back to the Taurus strong hand, shot 29 and 30, they failed to fire, but they did on second strike. So that may have just been an ammo thing, since the weak hand went to 55 shots, no problem. Now, as far as how the range experience was, so the Guardian 380, this is probably the sacrifice for having such a small gun, is that it was really painful to shoot. And the reason why is because every time under recoil, it would like bang into my finger right here every time. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. And eventually about 65 shots, even before that, I would say probably 58 shots, I kind of didn't want to shoot it anymore, you know, because it didn't matter how focused I was, I just knew my finger was going to get slammed. And so that's why I switched from there to the strong hand. But by then, you know, after around 30 shots, my strong hand was already so damaged from the battering of the North American Arms, I switched to my weak hand, you know. And so a lot of those shots I ended up doing with the weak hand. I did go back to the North American Arms Guardian like halfway through, but it was still beating the crap out of my finger, so then I just went back to the Taurus M380. Now, as far as the, you know, accuracy target of the stuff, I think the North American Arms, at least mine, it seems to like the Fiocchi Target Max just because the shots tend to be centered in the middle, a little high, but it's centered in the middle. And then for my Taurus M380, the Fiocchi Target Max hits a little bit high right, is where that goes. And keep in mind that that's only just my gun, you know. Your Taurus M380 may hit in a different spot, your Bodyguard 380 may hit in a different spot. So, in conclusion, what is there to say? Well, I think I'm not going to keep this gun. You know, I had high hopes and expectations. I did want this to be my main fighting gun, but since it's going to beat the hell out of me after every shot, I find that unacceptable. You know, I admit too that the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard, that one, you know, it did like, I don't know, I don't think it hit anything, but there was some kind of like recoil pressure, but it wasn't bad, you know, or at least it wasn't bad about I could get to 200 and then maybe start to see some problems. And of course you wouldn't shoot 200 rounds in a combat situation, you know. So I think I'm going to end up seeing whatever North American Arms decides to do with this and their the way it was handled the second time it went back to factory, and then I'm probably going to sell the gun. And I think I'm just going to stay with my two main fighting guns for 380 is the Taurus M380 and then the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. This will be kind of my two guns that I switch between in case one needs to go for repair, and the ones that I carry the most. So I have no other plans for any other 380 that would be a good fighting gun for me so far, but that was my experience with the North American Arms Guardian 380 ACP. If you guys have any questions, you can always leave them in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye now.
martial art! Martial arts, go!